Hi everyone, Shaun Humphries here. Welcome to the All Things Retirement video series. Here's a question for you. Do you have a financial roadmap? Well, when we throw out the term financial roadmap, that can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. So I'm going to define for you what we mean by the financial roadmap and why it's such an important planning tool when it comes to retirement income planning. And specifically, the financial roadmap kind of segues into one of the very important discussions we have with our clients, and that's the whole area of goals, aspirational goals, financial goals, risks and opportunities that clients need to be dealing with in the context of their wealth planning and more specifically their retirement income planning. So before we get into a discussion on that, I just want to talk a little bit about our model for retirement. Of course, retirement is a huge transition that we go through in life. It's one of life's major transitions, not just financially, but relationally and emotionally, and in terms of our sense of meaning and purpose. All kinds of things are impacted. So when we talk to clients about retirement income planning, we engage them at the level of the importance of cultivating renewed purpose and vision for what the next part of their life will look like, making sure our clients are thinking about health well in advance of retirement so that when they get to that point, they've got the energy and vitality that they need to enjoy the hard-won retirement plan that they've built up over time. We want to talk about goals, and goals could be both financial goals, but they can also be aspirational goals, personal goals. Of course, pension planning is a really important component. So whether it's looking at government benefits, employer-sponsored pension plans, if you have them, are they cost of living indexed? What will the payments be? There's all kinds of questions that should be confirmed well in advance of retirement. The investment planning area is important because as we go up to that retirement date, we're in the capital accumulation phase, but eventually as you retire, you're in the deaccumulation phase. And so the portfolio looks a little bit different, obviously. And so we want to confirm what kind of returns do we need to aspire to, how will that portfolio supplement what you're doing with your pensions and your requirement for cash flow. We look at tax planning. We don't want to pay more tax obviously than necessary. Are we effectively income splitting? And then estate planning. And for some people there may be redundant capital to allow them to engage in some interesting legacy planning. Now, why is this topic so important? We want to have a roadmap. We want to talk aspirationally about our goals because that's a rocket fuel that gets us excited about doing retirement planning and keeping it up to date. So retirement challenges, there can be many of them. Challenges can come up all the way through our retirement and leading up to it. So whether it's health issues or unemployment or change in employment that's unexpected, market collapses or corrections, recessionary cycles, there's all kinds of things that come up. So we want to make sure that we build a plan that helps to deal with those risks, and I'll talk about how the financial roadmap plays a role in helping us to do that. Now the roadmap ties into very specifically the whole discussion of goals. So we use the roadmap to be a catalyst for discussion to get people dreaming a little bit about what's important to them about money. Okay, here's the roadmap. This is probably one of the most important pieces that we utilize in the retirement income planning process. So when I sit down with someone, we're going to be very concrete about where they sit financially, but we're also going to talk about aspirational goals. So as an example, over here in this part of the schematic on the financial roadmap, we're going to have a values discussion. Now, when we say roadmap, basically this road is winding along to ultimately your destination, and that destination is really described and answered by the following question. That question is, what's important about money to you? Now, when people answer that question, and maybe just reflect on that question in your own mind right now, what's important about money to you? Very few of you are going to say, well, it's about saving taxes and getting the best possible return I can. For some of you that might be an underlying value, but for most people, they view money as a tool. So what they say is peace of mind. I don't want to have to worry. I don't want to have to work. I don't want to outlive my capital. I want to make sure that I can have new experiences, to travel. Maybe it's to help grandchildren or children, or to provide legacy planning for the local community. So they're very aspirational goals often. They're very much involved around family and legacy, making a difference, new experiences, quality of life. Those are the things that typically come up. Now, on our journey towards that, there are risks along the way. And so We've already talked about those risks a little bit, but it could be losing your job just before you retire or a few years before that. It could be the company downsizes, maybe a recession, maybe market correction. It could be poor health. All kinds of things come up, death of a partner. And so for many of the risks that we identify, there are specific strategies or tools, ideas, products, services that can be used to mitigate those risks, to reduce them. And so part of the retirement planning process is to identify potential risks and then put in strategies to deal with them to increase the probability that you'll reach your goals. Now, along this roadmap as well would be milestones, personal milestones. Often milestones will be specific goals that have money, dollar amounts attached to them with specific dates. And great examples would be even the retirement topic. So I want to retire at age 65 or 60 with $70,000 of after-tax income per year, indexed at 2.5% to cope with inflation. That's a very specific milestone. Another milestone might be we've got a cottage, we haven't really gotten it ready for retirement. We want to renovate it so we can use it in the winter months and expand the space so we can be a gathering spot for our families. Sort of a legacy goal there. So there's all kinds of things that come up in terms of specific milestones in the planning. And then we go to this far left bottom quadrant here. Where are you today? So part of retirement income planning is identifying where you are financially, your assets, your liabilities, pension planning, all your current financial stuff, and then beginning to model and forecast into the future where you need to be to accomplish your goals. So this is a very useful tool. The financial roadmap provides wonderful clarity in terms of the goals, the aspirations for the future. Like I said, that's a rocket fuel that makes people excited about going through the planning process. So we are really big believers in coaching. The coaching model is very powerful. We've talked about this in previous videos because it's about getting to know your dreams and your objectives. It's about understanding the current situation that you're in. That's what a good coach does. And once they know that, identifying gaps and opportunities in your planning potentially that need to be addressed, to develop a specific action plan that's customized to your particular situation, to provide accountability and encouragement. That's needed for most of us. It's very hard for us as individuals to be, number one, objective about our situations, and number two, to always be able to push through those moments when we just don't feel it's worth it, that we get a little bit sidetracked. And so a coach provides that accountability and encouragement over time, and then reviewing and fine-tuning. Life changes, tax law changes, personal circumstances change, economic environments change, things change all the time, and so you have to keep this conversation going. That's the role that the coach plays. Study after study confirms that advised households that have a money coaching relationship do better than non-advised households. And there's a lot of reasons for this, but if you go through these steps consistently with a retirement coach, the probability is you're going to make better progress. I love this schematic, and the question is, do you know you have enough? So when we walk clients through a retirement income planning process, what we're trying to identify is, as part of the coaching process, are there gaps, are there opportunities? And so in this chart, basically this green line cuts across here and it tells you what the client wanted as income, and the green is their financial assets. You can tell financial assets were there until their late 70s, and then they experienced some gaps or shortfalls. It's a great objective review, and then we can work backwards to confirm what strategies need to be utilized for that client to be tracking in the right direction of their goals. Because often in the back of people's minds when it comes to retirement are the following risks. Can I cope with inflation risk? Can I cope with longevity risk? I don't want to outlive my capital. And how do I cope with market risk? Because when I retire, I don't have time on my side. I'm not saving money to the portfolio anymore, and I'm taking money out of the account. So how do I develop a portfolio that makes it resilient through tough market cycles, so I can fund my retirement over the long term? Well, if you don't have a retirement coach, or if you have a financial relationship but you're really not getting coaching, it's really just focused just to investments or specific areas, and you're looking at wanting a holistic approach or a second opinion, feel free to reach out to us. shumphries@asante.com is the email. Phone number is 977-8049, area code 204. Feel free to visit our website at shaunhumphries.com. And in the show notes for this video is a link to our page on a website that talks about our retirement coaching service. Be sure to visit that page because on there are some free resources. There's a video that discusses our coaching service in more detail, and there's free resources. One is a retirement tips white paper. There's another white paper that goes through all the different areas, a bit of a retirement audit you need to be thinking about when you plan your retirement. And then we also have a sample snapshot, and the snapshot really is there to give you an idea of how we do forecasting to give clients guidance on whether they're tracking in the right direction for the retirement. Anyway, all the best in your wealth planning and your retirement income planning. You take care.